I'm Riley. My roommate found me eating Lucky Charms in the dark at 2 p.m. I hadn't opened the curtains in a week. It wasn't a choice, not really. It was just easier. The world outside felt too bright, too loud. Inside, in my cave, it was quiet. The only light was my phone screen, and the only sound was the clicking of me scrolling past other people's perfect lives. The bowl was sticky. I'd been picking out the marshmallows for about an hour. It was Tuesday. Or maybe Wednesday. The days kind of blended into a gray smear. I was wearing the same sweatpants I'd been in since Friday. They were becoming a part of me. And then the door creaked open. The light from the hallway just sliced through the dark. It physically hurt my eyes. My roommate, Alex, just standing there, not saying anything, just looking at me. This pale creature hunched over a bowl of kids' cereal, and the look on his face wasn't anger. It was fear. That was my rock bottom. Not the darkness, not the cereal, but that look of fear on my friend's face. So, after the great cereal incident of that Tuesday or Wednesday, Alex tried to help. Gently, of course. He left a note on the counter. Hey, maybe open the blinds today? Get some sun. Sunlight. Right. As if a few photons were going to magically repair the scrambled eggs of my brain chemistry. I read the note, crumpled it up, and went back into my cave. I even tucked a blanket into the bottom of the door to block the light from the hallway. My internal monologue was basically just a sarcastic teenager. Oh, wow, sunshine. Groundbreaking. Why didn't I think of that? It felt insulting, like telling someone with a broken leg to just walk it off. I was convinced my problem was far too complex and tragic for something as ridiculously simple as vitamin D. So I doubled down on darkness. It was my brand. Okay, so darkness wasn't the answer. I get it. The next phase was manic. I decided if I was going to get better, I would get better harder than anyone had ever gotten better before. Keep busy, they say. I made a schedule, a terrifying color-coded spreadsheet of wellness. 6 a.m., jogging. I put on running shoes, made it to the front door, and immediately sat down, exhausted by the thought of it. 7 a.m., learn a new skill. I watched exactly 4 minutes of a Learn Guitar for Beginners video before my fingers hurt, and I declared it a lost cause. 8 a.m., do things you love. I tried to bake bread, got flour all over myself and the cat, had a small breakdown over yeast not activating, and left a bowl of sad, sticky dough on the counter. By 10 a.m., I was back in bed, buried under the covers, more exhausted than when I'd started. My glorious war on depression ended in a full-scale retreat after about 4 hours. After my spectacular failure at being the world's healthiest person, I fell back on old friends: caffeine and alcohol. The logic was flawless, you see. I was tired and sad, so coffee would make me less tired. Then I was anxious and jittery from the coffee, so wine would make me less anxious. It was a perfect, self-sustaining ecosystem of bad decisions. I'd have 3 cups of coffee just to feel human enough to answer an email, spend the afternoon with my heart trying to beat its way out of my ribcage, and then I'd relax with a glass of cheap red wine that would turn into 3. I'd tell myself it was helping me forget the problems. It didn't. It just blurred them. Then I'd wake up at 3 a.m. with a headache and a fresh new wave of dread. Who was I kidding? It wasn't a coping mechanism. It was just gasoline on the fire. I was still deep in my cave when Alex, my roommate, came home one day. He saw me on the couch, doing my usual impression of a sentient pile of laundry, and he looked so worried. He didn't say anything. He just came over and gave me a hug. My first reaction was to go completely rigid. I am not a hugger on a good day, and this was not a good day. Everything in me screamed, abort, abort. It was awkward. I probably patted his back like I was trying to burp him. He held on for just a second too long and then let go. He went to his room. I sat there, on the couch, an island of misery as usual. But then something weird happened. This warmth. It spread from my shoulders where he'd hugged me. It didn't fix anything. It didn't make me happy. But for the first time in months, I felt something other than numb or awful. It was like a tiny crack in the ice. That weird hug crack in the ice, it didn't cause a flood. It was more like a single drop of water. The next morning, I didn't bound out of bed, but I did pull the curtain open, just an inch. The light was still too much, but I looked at the dust motes dancing in the beam for a sec before closing it. That was it. That was the whole victory for the day. The next day, I opened it 2 inches and sat by the window while I drank my coffee. The day after that, I put on headphones, listened to one song, and walked to the mailbox and back. These weren't things for a spreadsheet, they were pathetic, tiny little wins, but they were mine. It wasn't about getting inspired or achieving goals, it was just noticing the dust motes, listening to a guitar solo, feeling the sun on my face for 30 seconds. It was barely anything, and it was everything. So here I am. Am I fixed? God, no. I'm still a mess. Some days the cave is still calling my name. I still have the same sweatpants, they're just cleaner now. But something is different. I'm sitting in my room and the curtains are open, all the way. The sun is on my face and it feels okay. I had cereal for breakfast, but it was at 9 a.m., and I sat at the kitchen table with Alex. We didn't even talk much, but we were there. I'm not trying to run a marathon or become a guitar hero anymore. My only goal for today is to take a walk later. Maybe. And that's enough. The darkness is still part of the room, you know? It's always there in the corners. But now I know where the light switch is, and my hand is finally strong enough to flip it. If you've ever had a cereal in the dark day, or you're in one right now, you're not alone. Drop a comment if you feel like it. I actually read them. And if you want more messy, real stories like this, hit subscribe. We're all a mess here. It's fine.